bottom line, the Stone Cold Sensei.
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
This is The Pencil, a professional wrestling podcast starring Renny D and friends. Thanks for listening to The Pencil. Subscribe to the show on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at Pencil Podcast. What do you see? Scare what you might find, maybe. Scare what you might find, maybe. Scare what you might find, maybe. Scare what you might find. You need an aerial view. You have
What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday, November 11th. It's episode 14 of The Pencil. It is Renny D. It is Travis Mester. It is a big week in professional wrestling. It's Veterans Day. It's all the above. And we're here to break down the last few days in professional wrestling, dating back to SmackDown, Monday Night Raw last night. And if you caught any of the WWE Network stuff recently, we can chat about that too, as I've been diving into a little bit of the network material after Travis and I spent a little time last week talking about how to upsell people to the network. I did not catch any of the ECW Exposed last night. I am planning on watching it here this week if I can on replay, but I have been getting into the Monday Night Wars. And I actually think the original content dirt on the network is pretty awesome. I don't know how much you've actually gotten into it or if you're just utilizing the network for the most part for pay-per-views, but the original content, in my opinion, is pretty awesome, especially if you're a wrestling fan or just if you want to know the history of professional wrestling. Like, I've been really getting into the Monday Night Wars as of late. Anything on the network that you've gotten into or that you've watched that's pretty interesting that we can give a shout-out to that maybe our viewers, or not our viewers, but our listeners want to check out on the network?
I absolutely loved the Daniel Bryan Road to WrestleMania back behind the scenes feature that they had. I thought that was the best thing that I've seen on the network thus far. I know there's a couple Bret Hart shows that he was involved in that I thought were really interesting. I know you're a Bret Hart guy, but yeah, I mean, all the stuff's been so interesting that I've watched. The pay-per-views are obviously the big selling point for me, but all that stuff is definitely being watched whenever I get a chance.
Yeah, and I think there's so much stuff on there. I don't have enough time to go through it all and actually watch everything that I want to watch, especially when you and I spend our weekends at a Garth Brooks concert in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I did make the trip over, and what a concert, man. You weren't kidding. You were not kidding about Garth Brooks at the Chicago concert. Round 2 for you, was it as good as round 1?
It was better. I thought it was better. I thought that he pulled out more of his best music. I didn't realize that he left out any of the stuff in Chicago until I saw the Minneapolis show. And as great as the Chicago show was, the Minneapolis show took over as the greatest concert I've ever seen. Maybe it was better company. I don't know. Renny D was in the building. That couldn't have hurt.
What do you, is something like a single man like that, who's a country artist who hasn't toured in 16 years, but in the end of the day, he's an entertainer. What could professional wrestling take, if anything, from like a country concert or a music concert where the fans are crazy from beginning to end? Is there anything that Vince or anything that TNA or any other wrestling organization could take from a country concert, in your opinion, to utilize in their own show to make it more entertaining for the fan?
I would say treating the fans as their... Garth Brooks does an unbelievable job about that. I think at times wrestlers and whoever's in the ring is just doing their thing, and it's almost like they're in a ring by themselves. That didn't feel like that for 1 second at the Garth Brooks concert. It felt like he was there, and it was just him in a group of people singing. And if you had that feeling, which I would almost think back to like the last time I really had that feeling was with CM Punk against John Cena in Chicago when Punk left the company, where it felt like the match was going on in the center of a huge group of people who it almost felt like everybody was wrestling. Just like this concert felt like everybody was singing, and it was. I think that's something that WWE could do better of from time to time, of just having it feel like a more of a group environment instead of a bunch of people watching two guys wrestle.
Yeah, I guess I've been asked that question too, and I'm not really sure. Just because somebody like Garth Brooks hasn't toured in 16 years, of course people are going to be loud from start to finish. But at the end of the day, I think they involve the fans in it. But the fans can anticipate a country concert. They know what songs are going to be sang at a professional wrestling event. You really don't necessarily anticipate the next move. So you're left either cheering, booing based on what happens. And wrestling is 52 weeks a year nonstop. So it's very tough. It's apples to oranges, I think, when we talk about the entertainment value of things. But speaking of entertainment.
Speaking of not anticipating the next move, let's jump into topic number one this week, which I know you and I were both excited about. One, because you're friends with one of the guys in the group, and two, because I wrote something on our website about them. What is WWE doing with the Wyatt family, and what are you most excited about or most disgruntled about with all three of those members?
What I'm most excited about, I think, is still the Eric Rowan thing, probably because I'm biased. He's my friend, but last night walking out saying she's not here, he's going to play that creepy character, and I think that fits him well because he's ugly as sin. No offense to Mr. Rowan if he does listen to this, but he's not a good-looking man, and he doesn't need to spend a lot of time on the mic, so he can be that creepy character like we talked about last week, like that man from Mice and Men. Luke Harper is interesting to me because they ran the eye vignettes the last couple of weeks during the Dolph Ziggler segments, and I don't know why I didn't put two and two together until last night, and I tweeted out from our account at Pencil Podcast that I don't know why I didn't pick up on it, but Luke Harper looks like he's going after the Intercontinental title, and after last night made it pretty apparent that that's exactly what he's going to do moving forward. And I'm disgruntled about is Bray, to be honest with you, because like we mentioned last week.
What the fuck is going on with Bray and Dean Ambrose? They was the focal point of the last pay-per-view, and we can't even see him on TV anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they had a good spot on SmackDown. They kept replaying what happened on SmackDown and looked kind of cool, but again, at the end of the day, it's cheesy when they shut the lights off and they cut the feed. Bray's there, Bray's not there. At some point, yes, professional wrestling, the WWE is entertainment. But at some point, you just got to scratch your nutsack and go, what the fuck are they doing? Because it makes no sense. And I think they just need to focus more on promos. They don't need to have the imagination run wilder. I'm not really sure if that's the word I want to use.
Is Bray hurt? Like, when was the last time he wrestled?
I don't know. He's not hurt. They just rolled him off of TV after his stale feud with Jericho to give him something new. He had nothing. They had no direction for him, and at this point, it's Dean Ambrose. But there's nothing right now in my mind, even after last night's show, that makes me even a little bit excited for the Bray Wyatt Dean Ambrose match at Survivor Series. Not even a little bit.
No, me neither. I'm in the same boat. I mean, the other two guys, I texted you as soon as Luke Harper threw Dolph Ziggler on the floor last night. I saw it coming, and I mark out for stuff that shocks me, and I didn't see that coming. And there was a couple other things on Raw last night that shocked me. That I'm glad whenever that happens, because I don't want to think that I know everything that's going to come the next week. And I think sometimes on this show we might talk about stuff like we know what's going to happen, and then more times than not, I feel like we're right. I was not right about Luke Harper. I was not right about a handful of things that happened in the opening and closing segments of Raw last night, and those are good things. But whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. So if they can show me in the next 3 weeks, I'd be pretty excited about it. Have him wrestle a match again or something.
Speaking of the Luke Harper situation last night at Raw, do you think it was just the UK crowd or just people shocked in general? Because there really didn't seem like much of a reaction from the crowd in Liverpool last night when Luke Harper threw Dolph Ziggler on the floor and says, "I'm a team player." The crowd was rather silent, and I don't know if that was...
I was pretty disappointed with the crowd completely the entire night, to be honest. I don't think that everything that happened with Ryback, everything that happened in the beginning of the show, I don't think any of it got the reaction that it probably should have, because, like I said, it surprised me. A lot of that stuff that happened at the beginning and into the show was good stuff. It was good TV. If the crowd was behind it, it would have made it great TV. And I think the UK crowd hurt the show last night.
Yeah, and again, it was pre-taped. You let me know about this. I guess I really wasn't thinking about that too much, and there's been some speculation that the WWE's edited some of the fan chants, which, to be honest with you, during a Seth Rollins match and the fans are chanting Michael Cole and JBL, Seth Rollins considers himself the best wrestler in the organization. I'm sure he didn't take too kindly to that, but at the end of the day, the fans pay their $40, $50, $60. They have the right to do what they want. I just think that they're fucking stupid when they do things like that. But again, they paid their money. They're allowed to do whatever they want to do. If they want to be disrespectful, they can be disrespectful. But if they really don't.
Just so all of our listeners know, if anybody sees Renny D and Dirt Travis Nestor at a WWE event next year, we will not be the clowns chanting against the wrestlers. We pay the $50-$60 to watch what we know is coming. Don't go to a WWE event and act like that.
Yeah, it's just that, and then people chanting for CM Punk and just cheering for the ref, or they broke out the chant last night for something going on in the crowd. It's, come on, guys, pay attention to, and I'm not saying you have to react to everything that the superstars do, because I wouldn't either. Everything that the superstars do isn't reactable. I mean, there's some stuff that's just plain stupid, but then there's some stuff that's really cool, and something that I thought was cool last night, again, is they're going on with these A New Day vignettes with Xavier Woods, and last night we saw Kofi Kingston's. Now, we have to assume Big E's right around the corner, and that's the one that I'm most excited about, because I don't know if you remember this, Travis. Before Big E was written off of television, he was cutting promos basically like a priest. I mean, he was taking deep breaths before he started talking in the microphone, talking like he was trying to get basically a congregation just ready to go for church on Sunday. And it was actually kind of cool, and I think it's a great gimmick, and the fact that they're all black too really fits well with it. I think maybe the WWE is going on a little bit of an edge kick with this group. If they do it right, we could be talking stables here again in the WWE.
And I love that. I love that. And I've read and I've heard whispers of people not liking what they're doing because they think they're doing the easy way out with a group of black wrestlers and putting them in this kind of, sort of congregation or whatever it might be. I'm completely okay with it. If you're not, then what do you want them to do with Kofi Kingston and Big E and Xavier Woods? If anybody's got a better idea, I'd hear it, because this is the best idea I can think of for any of those three. I don't care if they're black, white, orange, gray. I think it's something that's going to put something on their plates to be able to actually have a direction with the company, and that's a positive anytime you're asking me that. And who knows, maybe each of them can have individual semi-pushes like a mini version of the Shield or like a mini version of the Wyatt family. If they do it, I'm completely on board with it.
Yeah, and I've been watching the Monday Night Wars, and they were talking about DX and the NWO and Nation of Domination, and that's, I think, the Nation of Domination was awesome, and people maybe don't give it enough credit for what they did back in the day with Rock and Ron Simmons and D'Lo Brown and everybody else that was in that group. Yeah, they are all black. Clear as day. It's apparent what they're doing. And I'm okay with that too, because I literally, if I have their three names on a roster of guys with everybody else that the WWE has right now, including everybody in NXT, I don't know what to do with them either. So they should be grateful, first and foremost, for the opportunity that they're giving. And a former wrestler, Just Incredible, tweeted out last night, poor Kofi. And I responded to him too, and I said, what do you mean, poor Kofi? The dude's getting on TV, he's getting a push, and it gives him a fresh look to his character, because I can't tell you how sick and tired I was of seeing Dreadlock Kofi Kingston and lime green kick pads doing the boom boom stuff that never got over anymore with the fans. This is great for Kofi. This is great for Big E, and it's great especially for Xavier Woods, because he really didn't have anything in the first place. So I am interested to see where that goes and see if it's going to be part of Survivor Series. And there was a lot on Survivor Series last night. But to be honest with you, man, the teams for Survivor Series, I started off that Raw last night confused why the name Jack Swagger was thrown in there. And I told you a couple weeks ago that I thought Ryback was going to be part of the main event at Survivor Series, and be part of Survivor Series, and you didn't think he was going to be. You changing your tune to that now? Do you think he'll be on a team after what we saw last night?
I think I'd be crazy not to at this point. After watching last night's Raw, I think we saw more Ryback last night than we've seen in 4 months, which I love the big guy. I'm on board with the big guy, but I was shocked. That they circled an entire show around Ryback's character. So whatever they've got planned for him, it appears now he'll be Cena. I loved the heel turn at the beginning, then sort of a tweener turn at the end. I thought that was interesting, and that was another thing that last night I didn't think got the reaction it deserved from the crowd. But I'm interested. I'm interested in his character. I'm interested to see what direction they go. I was excited for you to bring it up because I knew you thought he was going to be on it anyway. Are you the direction they took to get him there?
No, I mean, I was actually pretty upset, to be honest with you, and I didn't like what they did in the beginning of the show, because Ryback just came back. He's hot. Crowds are chanting, feed me more. They're behind him. I don't think they need to kill that kick so quickly. Turning him heel in the beginning of the show and then rounding it full circle at the end of the show, and now we don't know what he is. Is he a heel? Is he a face? Is he a Randy Orton tweener? I don't know. But I think you can't confuse the audience that much in one show. I think they did too much with one character in one show. You can't take a guy from being over is all. I mean, he was the most over guy last night with the Feed Me More chance, and then all of a sudden he beats up Cena. I'm not really sure what they're trying to get at with that because Cena doesn't get cheered in every arena he goes into anyway. And then, yeah, full circle, he's agitated. He was in like 7 segments last night. So,
it was more Ryback than I was shocked that we got more Ryback than Cena and the Authority combined. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, and don't call it the big guy. You know, I mean, it's good for him. It's good for his character. I am not sure what they want him to be. And I think that he needs to be a face right now. I don't think he needs to be a heel, but I also don't think he needs to take shit from anybody. And I think he proved that last night in his character. He wasn't going to take shit from Cena. He's not taking shit from the Authority. But moving forward, he's not on the Authority anymore. Right after knocking out the Authority last night, he's not going to be on their team. Does he join Team Cena then? I'm not sure even if he's on Team Cena at this point either.
Yeah, I mean they got one more week to tell us, correct?
Yeah, but here's what let's jump to Team Cena. We got John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Big Show, Sheamus. The Survivor Series pay-per-views in St. Louis, Missouri, the hometown of who, Dirt?
Randy fucking Orton.
Randy Orton in St. Louis, Missouri. Orton should be that 5th guy. He should be the 5th guy to come back, basically be, that John Cena thought he could get Ryback. He can't get him. Goes into Survivor Series with 4 confirmed members. The 5th then is Randy Orton. That's what I think should happen, and I'm going to still stay with that because it is St. Louis. Now, for Team Authority, we got, Seth Rollins, Kane, Rusev, Mark Henry, and now we need a 5th for that team as well, correct?
Correct. So right now they wanted it to be Ryback. So right now they only have 4. So I mean, I think it only makes for the 5th to be Triple H and the 5th to be Randy Orton.
If it's not Triple H and it's not Randy Orton, it's a mistake. It is a huge mistake.
Because 10 minutes ago, whenever you said sometimes you can't take it for what it is because it's just so stupid. How the hell are they putting Mark Henry and Rusev next to each other and they're going to say, yeah, these 2 guys are going to fight together? When 3 weeks ago, these guys were America versus Russia. It's like, what? I can't be dumb enough to fall for that kind of stuff. But whatever. I'll
Mark
deal with
Henry
it.
was in tears, man. He was in tears for the national anthem, and he went out and got his ass kicked, not only by Rusev, but also got beat clean by Bo Dallas. It's terrible booking. I mean, I get that they want the biggest men on their team. Perfect. No chance in hell in a real world fight do those 2 people get along. You're absolutely right. And if they don't put Triple H on that team, they lost their fucking minds because
all I can think now. Harper's also on that team. That's the 5th that we forgot.
Oh, shit, you're right. Luke Harper, you're right. So Luke Harper.
Mark Henry's got to get hurt or something to get that. I mean, those teams suck. Like, that team sucks. You're giving me Mark Henry, Rusev, who's undefeated for 4 months and hasn't really beaten anybody that anybody cares about. Mark Henry and fucking Kane, who is possibly the worst character in the WWE for my money, is just. Yeah, and I don't know if they're trying to make Cena look like an underdog against a team that I can't even begin to respect with the way that they've been booked.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, you're right. I totally forgot about Luke Harper, and we just fucking talked about him. So Triple H isn't going to wrestle at Survivor because I can't see Mark Henry getting hurt. Mark Henry's got a thing going with the Big Show. That makes sense. Rusev, I guess, with Sheamus. Yeah, Rusev and Sheamus, Dolph and Luke Harper, Cena and I guess
Seth Rollins,
Rollins, but I mean it should be Randy Orton, and then who the fuck is Kane going against? Nobody. He's just thrown in there. So unless Kane can get hurt somehow, which would be awesome,
that would be great. That would be great.
You would love it. Kane gets hurt, and now all of a sudden Triple H fights. If Triple H does not wrestle, it is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in professional wrestling. Because
Kane has not done one thing that mattered on TV outside of just ruining every match by causing a disqualification for the last 2 years. He's been so bad. Triple H should fire him from the Authority. I don't even know what he's done to help the Authority, to be completely honest. I think every chokeslam that he attempts gets reversed. I don't get what his character's supposed to be. Fire him and be in the match. For God's sake, just for all of us to keep our sanity. Fire Kane and be in the match. It's time to play the game. Play the game at Survivor Series, please.
All right, man. I get that. But here's a question for you that I have too. with all the title matches being wrapped up in the Survivor Series main event, what other matches are we going to have at Survivor Series, dude? I mean, are there?
We're going to get Bray Wyatt against Dean Ambrose.
Okay.
We're going to get some sort of. I'm assuming the Dust Bros and the Usos will wrestle for the 75th time in the last 2 months.
Haven't they done anything lately on TV? Like, what is going on with these guys? Are they are they only relevant on SmackDown?
I have no idea. I think they had a steel cage match like 2 weeks ago on SmackDown that I think was supposed to be the blow-off match, and then I haven't seen the Dust Brothers since, and I'm pretty sure they still have the belts. If I'm wrong, any listener can correct me if the belts did change hands, because they've meant that little the last a month.
Oh, God. Okay, and then we got the Divas title match. We got Nikki and AJ, which actually I think will be good.
Yes, that one should be good.
So we got 4 matches? Is that it? I mean, I understand that the Survivor Series match will take a while.
I don't know another one if you can think of one. I'm sure we'll get Tyson Kidd versus fucking Adam Rose. Fucking show.
Yeah, or Adam Rose versus that stupid bunny. I mean, those are just show fillers. They should literally make Dolph defend the title, to make Sheamus defend the title, just to add more matches to the show for one, but also to really make Cena be that underdog, and then have Randy Orton come back and be part of that team, and somehow Kane breaks his fucking leg or gets burned in the fire, and Triple H comes back, and now we're talking. If you want to get somebody to network for free,
because if it's Cena as the underdog and he AAs like 3 guys to win 3-on-1 at the end, it's going to be too bad. It's going to be too bad for everyone involved. So the only way I can be on board with what's happened right now is if Cena's just getting that ass beat down and the match starts 5-on-4 and then Orton comes out and cleans house and he's the one that cleans KOs. Because if it's Cena cleaning out the Authority, how many times do we have to see that story play out?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know. Cena needs to do something. And listening to some of the JR podcasts over the last couple weeks.
We know what he needs to do. What he needs to do.
To be honest, like, I don't even give a shit if he turns heel at this point. He doesn't need to turn heel to make me, I guess, appreciate his character. I appreciate John Cena for everything he does. But I just think, lose the fucking khakis and lose the New Balance shoes and the wristbands and all that stuff and just wear wrestling gear. Just change your look. You can still cater to the crowd, and that's cool with me. That's fine. You can kiss ass. You can sell T-shirts. Just don't have to wear them all the time. Be somebody that we can take seriously, especially because Brock Lesnar and you are going to be wrestling in a couple months at a pay-per-view, which it seems like everybody has forgotten about Brock Lesnar, and there are people that are upset about him not being on shows. Can you imagine at Royal Rumble when Lesnar's music hits and he comes back, how much of an eruption he's going to get? Or do you think the crowd's going to
Nobody's going to be tired. Nobody's going to be missing it. Or everybody's saying how much they're pissed that he's gone now. It's only going to make it better when he's back. I can live without the champion for a while whenever I know that whenever he comes back. I just don't want them to forget addressed Seth Rollins curb stomping him enough, I don't think. They haven't addressed him almost losing to Cena in the last match after, 3 AAs or 4 AAs whenever it was interrupted. They get to do. I just hope they do it in the right way, because I want him to come back and be a monster, because it's just, when he's gone this long, if he comes back in anything other than dominates, it's going to make it look.
So let me ask you this. Last question here before we wrap up the first half of our show. When Lesnar comes back, does he A, get cheered, B, get booed, and then either, regardless of, or so if you pick, one or the other, why do you think that is? That's the reaction he's going to get.
Brock's going to get cheered more than he gets booed when he comes back, because as of today, we still have Cena is the number 1 contender, correct? Is that?
Yeah. Yep. Cena's the number 1 contender for the title.
So as of today, which they also have not made enough reference to that in the last 2 or 3. Because that shouldn't be a question in our head.
Why would they do that? I mean, that would be too obvious to do something like that.
So if he's the number 1 contender, if he's wrestling Cena, he's going to get cheered more than he's going to get booed. Cena will get booed more than Lesnar will. I feel like more of a face when you're watching that match. And he's going to get cheered because people want to see Cena get did the last time they wrestled. Or the 2 times ago when they wrestled at SummerSlam. And I don't know. I have to imagine that it's going to end the same way that their most recent one did, with Seth Rollins involved in some way. I just don't know how they're going to do it at this point. and how they're going to make Survivor Series and TLC matter before that happens.
Yeah, they need to start talking more about Seth Rollins being Money in the Bank. They need to start talking more about John Cena being the number one contender. But one thing that I fear for Lesnar is, and I don't fear it for him, but I think when he comes back, he may get booed a little bit for being a little bitch as far as being an absentee off the shows. And his contract is extremely limited with dates. So there's potential he might get booed there for that. But again, if his opponent is John Cena, which it will be, that can overbearing everything. So as much as people are pissed off at Lesnar for not showing up every day like John Cena, they're sick of Cena and they're going to cheer Lesnar. And I don't know what the WWE is going to do moving forward, because if Lesnar doesn't sign that contract for the renewal at WrestleMania 31, he's got to drop the strap at 31. And hopefully, like we talked about last week, I hope it's not Roman Reigns. I don't know who it's going to be moving forward. Right now, I'm putting you on the spot. Who main events WrestleMania 31? Go.
The Rock versus Triple H.
Rocky versus Triple H. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go on a real whim here. I don't think Roman Reigns is going to be ready for the spotlight. I think Lesnar defends his WWE title against The Undertaker in a rematch from last year. I don't know why I think that. I've been thinking about it more and more lately. I'm just going to throw it out there that I think Undertaker comes back, goes against Brock Lesnar, beats Lesnar, wins the title, and retires the next night on Raw. That's my prediction right now on November 11th, 2014. I might sound like a fucking idiot, but WrestleMania 31 main event, book it, because Renny D just said so, baby.
I love it. I'd pay money to see that. I'd paid a lot more money to see dumber things than that.
Awesome. All right. Well, we all know that you're on the road, Dirt, and up next, I'm actually going to hop on the phone lines with a man who is no stranger to professional wrestling on the independent wrestling scene. Luke Hawx out of New Orleans, down in NOLA, runs his own promotion, Wildkat Sports, is a part-time stuntman, full-time wrestler, travels the countries, hasn't been on WWE or I guess in a hired role with WWE yet. And we're going to find out exactly why that is and find out how he manages being a father when he has all these dates that take up his time. Dirt, you drive safe, brother. And we will talk to you next week for episode 15. But as always, if you want to follow Dirt on Twitter, he's at Travis Mester. You can follow us at Pencil Podcast. We are on iTunes, so subscribe, rate, and review. Also follow us on the YouTube, Gimmick, PodBean, or Stitcher Radio. We'll be right back.
You think you know me?
We are having a great episode, but coming up next is our guest of the evening. You've been listening to The Pencil, a professional wrestling podcast with me, Renny D, and my friends. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, PodBean, Stitcher, and YouTube. And follow us on Twitter at Pencil Podcast. All right, everybody, we are back here on The Pencil with our special guest of the evening. He is the king of the independent wrestling scene, but not only that, he's a professional stuntman. He owns Wildkat Sports. Like I mentioned, he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the country. He's a father, one of the toughest guys I know. Luke Hawx joined us here via the phone. Luke, man, how's it going?
What's up? Yeah, make it sound like I'm everywhere, man. I'm never sleeping.
You are everywhere, dude. I've seen videos of you with CT Fletcher in the gym. Tonight you were on NCIS, right? An episode of that. How was that for you? How was that experience for you?
That's cool, man. Well, I actually just did another episode, too. I filmed another episode last week, doing different things, doing some stunt doubling for, he played in Walking Dead, the guy who's claimed he was the leader of the bad gang. I forget his name, but you know his face because he's in all kinds of films. I'm so terrible with names. I'm the worst because we meet so many people and you always, I can if I'm not around you every day or deal with you on a daily basis, or at least a few times, then it's harder to keep over names. But that was pretty cool, real cool guy. Damn it, I'm gonna go crazy trying to think of who it was again. But yeah, no, it's always cool to go shoot guns in the middle of the day and have people watching you in the streets going, "What the hell's going on?" So
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously very busy with the stunt career, with your professional wrestling career. Tell me more about this CT Fletcher thing, because I'm a man who loves the inside of a gym. I know you have huge fucking arms. The T-shirt that's available. Where can people get that T-shirt if they want that T-shirt? By the way,
email me at wildkatsports@gmail.com. That's cat with a K, WILDKAT, Wildkat Sports.
Yeah,
gmail.com.
It's simple, but it's to the point. But how do you know CT, and how do you guys get together and work out in the gym?
CT's my boy, man. We go back a little bit. I followed his videos like everybody else a lot when I'm working. And so when I was out there, I always work out at Metroflex, a gym that he is, made famous pretty much. He's where he shoots all his videos out of. And I got to know like Big Rob and Tanya Moore and my boy Andrew. So, I go there often and work. That's the place I go. So just made the connection from being there. And he's a big wrestling fan, so it was like, man, we got to do this. We got to get these videos together. And I wanted to shoot some stuff with him for me, and he turned around and was like, yo, I want you to shoot some stuff for me. And I was like, for real, you know what I'm saying? So it was like one of the things where we just clicked. And some people you just click with, man. We became friends, and, we keep in touch, and we're supposed to be working on some other projects coming up soon. We were supposed to get together and shoot another video last month, and I ended up just timing was bad. I was out in LA and out in Mexico, and I had one day, and he was flying out the next day to go to Detroit, I believe. So we just couldn't get together the one day we both had free. He was backed up doing his thing. We all got lives outside of that. So
right.
So but we're gonna get together and do some projects here in the future, just trying to plan it out.
Well, I'm actually shocked that you have any free days whatsoever, especially with your schedule lately. You just had your 3rd anniversary for Wildkat Sports. I've seen the pictures. Booker T was on it. Bob Holly was on it. Obviously, you're on it. How successful was that for you, and how was the overall experience celebrating your 3rd anniversary?
It was great, man. It was our 2nd biggest turnout ever. Huge show. Packed house, packed to the rim. All the seats were sold out. The floor seats sold out in like 5 days when tickets went on sale. So then, the bleacher seats, generation sold out. It was standing room only. The best thing about it was the crowd was hot all night. I mean, they didn't go to sleep at all. And the crazy thing was the show was actually packed because it was our big anniversary show. So it's when a lot of angles went to the big blow-offs, where they had the I Quit match, 3 Falls match, we had the Revolution Rumble match. So people were really on their feet all night. I think there was one match that they were kind of just quiet about because a couple of Booker's guys came in from ROW and they had their debuts and we didn't advertise or anything, so I don't think the people knew who those 2 guys were. And then they were Kurt Stud Matthews and Corey Constantine. They had a really good match on the feet for that. But like I said, besides that, hot all night. I mean, loud, cheering, booing. They were on it. So you couldn't ask for a better crowd. And that's what environment with the packed crowd, with it just going nuts and they're driving you more.
Now, were you able to connect with Booker because of the Heavy On Wrestling show that happened up here in Wisconsin, or your relationship with Booker go back several years?
No, I know Booker from a long time ago. But actually, we got coming up because Booker turned his back on me, man. I don't know if you heard what happened, but at the end of the show, and pulled our ref out the ring, wanted to give me the book again. He just opened up a check. He wrote a check that his ass can't cash.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I saw the bookend from Booker. What's the future now between Luke Hawx and Booker T?
We're going to have to see what it holds. I can promise you this won't be the last he's heard of me, though. So I think me and my boys can get together, do a little strategize, and go down there and lay the law down around his.
Well, let's rewind the tape, Luke, real quick, and let's go back to when you first started in professional wrestling. What point in your life did you realize that, hey, this is something that I want to do professionally, and it's something that I know I can be damn good at?
So that's all I ever wanted to do. If you listen to any interview I did, and anybody ever asked me that question, my earliest memory of wanting to be a wrestler was 3 years old. So I remember, I just remember, that's kind of an age where you remember a little bit. You don't remember much. But I remember wrestling from day one. That's probably my first memories of really anything. Wrestling just always really controlled my life, and there's always a focus. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry about that. We must cut out there. How old were you then when you first started training, and who did you actually train with?
I was 17 when I first started training. I trained with this local jabroni here in New Orleans, but that wasn't working out. I mean, that was the only thing they had here was this guy. And he treated me like crap. He really didn't want me to be. He didn't like me. I just met him from the indie shows, and I knew that if I wanted to get out and do more, that I had to go train somewhere else, somewhere with with somebody with some kind of reputation, somebody that's been somewhere, somebody that can help me. Guys around here kiss each other's ass and be on the same shows in front of 20 people and tell each other how great they are, and really they stunk. They couldn't wrestle their way out of a wet paper bag. So first thing I did was jumped in my car when I graduated and drove to Philly and drove first from Philly to Oakland and knocked on Vic Grimes' door. That's the story. If you listen, like I said, anything interview I do, any shoot interviews, it tells you the whole story.
Right.
From where I drove over to Vic's house and just knocked on his door. And I knew Vic from ECW because I knew a lot of guys from ECW. But over there, bro, I had his address. I just drove over to his house and I drove across country.
That's awesome. And you obviously mentioned your shoot videos. I know you have one with RF Video. How many different shoot videos do you have out there right now?
That's the only shoot I've ever done.
Okay.
So, I'd definitely say check out rfvideo.com and go pick it up. You can't. A lot of good shoots, not just mine. There's so many guys. If you're a fan of shoot interviews, I watch a lot of them. I don't watch a ton of them because it's so hard to find time to watch anything a lot of times. But I enjoy them. There were some really good ones. I really enjoy like the Bobby Heenan. Who else was a good one? I was watching the Bruce Pritchard one, man. That one that put me to sleep. I had to turn that one off. But, you watch some of the guys. I think the old Scott Steiner one was pretty good. Who else? Man, Billy Jack Haynes is pretty good. There's so many of them. You can watch all those old shoot interviews, and there's some still I need to get to because I usually go grab them off Rob's table when I see him at a show. Right. Whatever he's got in stock. I need to go ransack his office again.
Well, obviously you're no stranger to shoots. You're a man who tells it how it is on a regular basis, and you don't care what anybody thinks about what you have to say. Kind of started back. You had a huge rivalry with Matt Hardy on the independent scene that spanned. Was it like 2-year feud? How long exactly did that feud last for with you?
Yeah, went almost 2 years long, so it was a pretty good feud and went a long time. And it made a lot of money, not just for me, for Matt, but for the promotions who booked it. Any promotion that brought us out and put us on and made money for them. So it definitely helped boost my career. And that's one thing I can appreciate, even though I was going through my issue with Matt, because a lot of people don't realize that was real life. But we were both smart enough to, work and not scared enough. And that's what the guys like Matt, I don't like Bob. We've had our issues. I think he's a boy. He's a legit tough guy. I'll give him that. He's a legit tough guy. But has he taken a lot of advantages of a lot of people, taking a lot of liberties in wrestling? Yeah, hell yeah, he has. And for whatever reason, and I'm one of those guys that, you're not going to take that with. I don't care who you are. I'm going to fight you until I can't breathe. You're going to have to kill me or knock me out. And, watch out because I'll keep coming at you. So, at least I can say, though, that Bob is man enough to get in the ring and work out and get in the ring, which I appreciate. And the same with Matt. You would think a guy, when you say tough guys in wrestling, you don't think Matt Hardy. After all, even though all the stuff Matt's put his body through, and they say, oh, who's a tough guy in wrestling? You think of the Chris Benoits and the Regals and those just shoot guys. So, but Matt was a tough son of a bitch. My hat's off to him. And like I said, without him, we couldn't have had that feud. So if he wouldn't have been, I wouldn't say able, if he wouldn't have been willing to get in there with me, then, that feud wouldn't have happened. So.
Yeah, and I got the chance to obviously witness that firsthand and up here in Wisconsin when you guys had a match in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I was in that car with you. Matt was there. Lance Hoyt was there. It was a big show. When you travel the country, can you tell the difference in talent from, I guess, because there's no territory system anymore?
Your line's breaking up a little bit. I'm kidding. Like every now and then I'm moving a couple words.
Sure, absolutely. The question I have for you, Luke, is you obviously travel so much. Can you tell there's a huge difference from area to area and talent-wise? Obviously, there's no territory system anymore, but when you visit, say, a Los Angeles to a Philly to a Minnesota, is there vast differences in the
Oh yeah. The crowd, every place you go, everywhere is different. Some places are similar, West Coast to LA scenes kind of like Philly, those crowds and those fans, except when you throw in like the lucha. But they kind of got like that East Coast feel to it. The South's old school. The Midwest and the North up there in Minnesota, it's kind of got the mixture of the old school with the new school. So, but it's just about a matter about being able to work different styles of wrestling. There's some places that if you go out there and I can adapt to any style, and I kind of pride myself on that, but I don't like to. I got my specific style. I'm more of a Southern, old school type wrestler. I wasn't always that way. When I first broke in, I was a high flyer. But as the time went on, I tried to put weight on, wrestle more of a big man style, because in my eyes, that's what makes money. I'm not a big fan of the ROH, Dragon Gate, Evolve, Spot Fest style.
Right. I'm with you on that.
And there's a market for it. So, I'm not saying those guys are terrible. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, look, I'm not that,
Right.
Maybe I'm boring. Who knows?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I'm with you too. I think I'm a big fan of the hard-hitting bruiser-style professional wrestling over the 450s and different types of aerial moves that they do. And one thing you mentioned earlier is tough guys in the business and getting into the ring with you. I know you've had an issue in the past with Just Incredible and an issue back in the locker room. Has he ever gotten into the ring with you?
No, he's a pussy. He won't.
He definitely seems like the type of person on social media or whenever else he does something that talks like his shit doesn't stink and he's the best in the world and everybody should kind of listen to him. And I get that off him.
He's an idiot.
Straight.
In all honesty, I never had a problem with the guy until he did what he did at the Extreme Rising shows. Not to bring up that crap company, but I hate a guy that's not professional when you're getting paid to do a gig. If you're getting paid to do a gig, you should be on point. You should be there to perform and do your job. If you want to get hired, you want to do anything else after, I'm not a fan of that, but that's your business.
Right.
But do that on your own time. You know what I'm saying? Be professional enough to do in your free time. Get high or get drunk or get whatever the hell you want to do with yourself.
Yeah, he was booked on a show in Minneapolis, too, and he no-showed it. And obviously he was sent a forward in advance, and they never got that back. So he's got some shady business up in this area as well. So definitely not surprised.
He's a shady guy, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I've known him for a long time. I've been on shows, even though he might not really know who I am or claim that or whatever, But I've been around him since the ECW days, really. Because I wasn't wrestling back then, but I was running the locker room back then. But then the wrestling like XPW and stuff. It's like the time there was a time when he was looking for a hotel, like he didn't have a hotel room in XPW, and I had a hotel room. He might have had one. He might have just been he was messed up.
Sure.
So he just might not know where his hotel room. So I took him in my room and gave him my bed. Now this is he probably has no. So, but it's like, you see guys like that, and it's like, at some point, you just got to go, man, grow the fuck up.
Right. No, I'm with you. Wrestling breeds, we're definitely a type of person, a different type of person, a different type of breed, but some cases, some people just take it to the extreme, and it's a bit ridiculous, and it gives us all a bad name, and it's shitty, to be honest with you.
But he's got the nerve to get online, man, and tell you locker room etiquette and this, how you should do this and that. Like, come on, dude.
No, I'm definitely with you on that. So that brings up another question then, the beef that you have with AJ Styles, which is kind of front and center now. Where did that stem from and where's that going?
I don't know where it's going, but I can tell you that I would love to get my hands on them. It's just one of those things like, maybe I'm jealous, call it jealousy, but I think AJ, as Han said, I think AJ's a baby when it comes to wrestling. I think he's very overpriced. I think he's very big. I came up with AJ's view on guys like me, or I was always the young boy, the guy that who he was better than, and it's not that way anymore. So, you know, I wish he'd get some balls and step in the ring with me so I could light his ass up. But I think he's too.
When was the last time you were in the ring with AJ Styles, or have you guys not squared off?
We've never ever wrestled. We've never wrestled. We tag team in Wildside, but we've never wrestled. And I can tell you, see, the whole thing about me is I'm not the same guy AJ knew in Wildcat. You know, I'm not that young kid who was still. I'm learning. Don't get it wrong. I learn every day. That green kid that was, you know, needed help with this and needed help with that, which AJ didn't provide. But I, you know, I'm a killer. So you stand across from me, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And bottom line, so I wish he would take his ass whooping like a man.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, you know, from some of the pictures I've seen of you, you've grown up quite a bit since you got in the business. You were, when you first broke in, like you mentioned, a high flyer, smaller frame.
Just a little bit. Yeah,
I was exactly the same way. Put on some size. One question I have for you is, when did you make the change back to long tights?
Actually, recently. It's one of my first pair of long tights, and still got them. I've been trying to get some new ones made, but they keep screwing them up. So they keep making them too short. My ass keeps hanging out. And my ass ain't that big to hang out some tights, you know what I'm saying? So,
gotcha.
So I'm wearing my old pair, but I love them. I just like to mix it up, man.
Yeah.
I like to mix it up a little bit, and sometimes I don't feel like
So now brings me to the next question is, why is Luke Hawx? Because you're fantastic. I've seen you work numerous times. You're a great person to be around with in the locker room, too, because you don't bullshit.
Right.
You don't bullshit. You tell us how it is.
I don't bullshit. That's the thing I don't do.
Why is Luke Hawx not currently in the WWE system, in the Ring of Honor system, TNA system?
I lost what you were saying.
I was going to say, why is Luke Hawx currently not in the WWE system, not in the Ring of Honor system or TNA system at this point? What would you say is the reason that you're not there? Is it personal that you just don't want to be there, or just I guess the option's not there right now?
Well, with WWE, I have a good working relationship with them. So, you know, that opportunity I wouldn't say is not there. Okay. I'm really not interested in moving down to Florida at this point in my career, you know, and kind of starting over. I wouldn't say starting over, but, you know, I got a business here. I got a family. You know, I'm not with my children's mother. So if I left and moved to Florida, I wouldn't be. Right now, I'm home all week long. I leave on the weekends, you know. I leave on the weekends for wrestling. I'm home during the week either filming or in the gym and teaching my class at Wildkat. So, you know, and during the daytime, I'm with my baby. You know, and then I bring him to his mom's. I get him a few days a week, and my oldest lives with me. So, but if I moved, my oldest would stay here with his mother because he's a sophomore in high school. He's been with the same kids, the same schools his whole life. He's not going to want to pick up and move his whole life to Florida at this point in his age. You know, he's not going to leave all his friends and all that stuff. So that's the big draw to where I would have to give up my business. I'd give up Wildkat. I would give up my movie career. I would give up my children, which is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And that's really not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I couldn't say I would throw out stupid numbers to me, but they're not going to throw out stupid numbers to me because I'm nobody. You know, I'm not Brock Lesnar. I'm not 6'5", 300 pounds. You know, I'm not the guy they're going to build a company around. So, you know, so my goal is the relationship with them, and you know, work with them when I do, and do the things I do, and you never know what can happen in the future. As far as like, you know, there's no money to be made there really. There's no, you know, guys in TNA can't even, you know, can qualify for food stamps. So I mean, I make more money, and I'm not bragging, but I make more money than, you know, mid-carders at WWE on average.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I mean, if you can make a living doing what you're doing, and a lot of guys do it yourself, Cabana, Lance Holt, I mean, there's numerous guys on the indie scene who make money, but you obviously have your business, you have the movie.
There's a handful of them. There's not a lot.
No.
So, I mean, I'm proud to say that I do, and that I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate, but I work hard. I take what I do seriously, and I've got several sources of income. I got my indies, I got the school, I've got my movie career, you know. So it's kind of a mixture of things.
What advice?
Good.
I was going to say, what advice would you give to a young guy trying to break into the business right now? I mean, obviously, the wrestling schools are limited. But if you had to give them one piece of advice and they want to be a professional wrestler, what do you tell them?
I would say do it. Take it seriously. Take it seriously, but do it as a hobby. Do it with the fact that you're doing so hard to get a job in pro wrestling. There's not a lot of jobs available. I'm not saying you can't, but don't go into it with like, I got to get a job or I'm quitting. You know, like I do it because I love it.
Right.
And just because I don't have it's my job now. Don't get me wrong. It's my job now. But I do it because I love it. If I wasn't making a living at it, I would still be doing construction work and wrestling on weekends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hope I never have to go back to that life. But so I would just tell you, if you love it, then chase your dream, but take it seriously. But at the same time, until you get those opportunities, don't drive yourself in $50,000 of debt, and don't mistreat your kids and leave your marriage, to chase a wrestling dream. Be realistic about it.
Yeah. I'm with you as far as take it seriously. There's so many dress-up wannabe wrestlers out there who get into a ring. It will work for $5 or for free, and it's terrible.
It's not even about working for $5 or working for free. And this is, me and you might differ on this, but this is out here coming from promoters. Then, who wants to pay a guy that ain't putting asses in the seats?
Exactly.
If nobody knows who you are, then why would you expect to get, paid? I've wrestled for free, trying to build my career and drove across. When I first started, for the first few years, I was driving everywhere for next to nothing to try and build, my name up. So you have to, don't go into it looking, I want 75, I want $100 when ain't or would, or care about you, would even buy your T-shirt, I'm hot, and you put these for that promotion. That's when you worry about getting paid.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm with you on that too.
I mean the ham and angers. I mean the guys who are out there in T-shirts and baggy shorts or blown up. They don't go to the gym. They can't wrestle properly. They don't know how to put on proper holds. They can't run the ropes right. They can't they can just do a cool move, or they've seen somebody do a power bomb. They can do a power bomb because they like, come on, man. If you're not properly trained, get the fuck out.
Hey, I'm totally with you. I've been preaching that for a long time too. I'm definitely on board with you on that. If your oldest son, you said he's a sophomore in high school, if he wants to get involved in pro wrestling, are you all for it?
Yeah, well, he is, man. He'll be the heavyweight champion of the world. This dude's on track like none other. I'm not saying he's Brock Lesnar by any means, but he has the goods to go. He's 6'1", he's 16, he's a state champ. Last year was his first amateur wrestling year. So, because they didn't offer it in middle school. He got to high school, they offered it. He took state his first year. He went up in a weight class this year, so he's looking to take state again all 4 years. He'd like to go to nationals, so he's got a goal. And then, his goal is to go to WWE outside when he graduates high school, possibly go to full and get a developmental deal and get his college diploma while he's at Full Sail training for WWE. So, it's not like he has any offers yet, but I'm hoping by the time his senior year comes, we get that worked out, because he's a stud, and he's got his feet fully fluent in Spanish and English. He's an honor roll, straight A honor roll student, been on honor roll his whole life. Never been in any kind of trouble. He's a good kid. He's athletic, so it's, hopefully he continues on this route and he keeps doing well, and doesn't get injured or anything like that, and he can follow his dream. But he's got his goal set, and he knows what he wants. He wants to beat me out. He wants to be better than me. I want him to be.
Right.
I'm never going to be the heavyweight champion of WWE. Let him be it,
Right.
That make me more proud than me being it. So, of course, people true parents want to see their kids do better than they do,
Yeah, and I think it's great that you mentioned that he wants to get his college degree too, and just having all the education he can have as well as a professional wrestling career. And one thing, Luke, I respect you as a pro wrestler because I think you're great, but I also respect you more so as a man because you're a man who travels the country outside the states, but you always seem to be there for your kids. You're a full-time father first and foremost, and that's why guys like you and Adam Pearce are very high up on my list of men who I respect and look up to, not just in professional wrestling, but in life. How have you been able to, because there's so many professional wrestlers who are deadbeat fathers and just not there for anybody in their family.
There's a lot of deadbeat fathers just
That's
to begin
true.
with. But there's also
true.
a lot of, there's also a lot of deadbeat mothers who keep their kids from their father and tell them some bullshit, like, oh, they won't let their father see the kid even though he wants to, and they'll make some shit up and be. I hear it every day. I heard a certain female wrestler who I was with all week this week. I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but she was bragging on Facebook about how much she loved this guy, blah, blah, blah. I got pregnant from him. He was the greatest guy in the world. And now they split up, and he's a deadbeat. He's a piece of trash, and he never sees his kid. But the guy lives in another state, and when she was with him, she lived in another state with him. Now she had the kid, moved home, several states away. And he's a deadbeat because he only, he sends child support money, but he never sees his kid. Well, I guess so. You live, several states away. You moved, and when you were with him, you were living with him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You're not. I guarantee you, she's not going. Oh, well, I'm gonna come drive your kid to you this weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come drive your kid to you this week. So it's one of those things where you're supposed to take care of your kids. I don't want no cookie. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no credit for being, I'm a good dad. No, this is my kids. I'm supposed to be, you had kids. It's your responsibility to take care of them. I love my kids. So I never, I don't like to pat myself on the back for being a great father because, it's what you are supposed to do. They're my kids, so I need to raise them and I need to give them the best opportunities available.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess one of the last questions I want to ask you, Luke, because I know I don't want to keep you on the phone here too long, is being part of Jerry Lynn's last professional wrestling event. What did that mean to you as a man who looked up to Jerry?
One of the highest compliments in my career, without a doubt. Jerry, you talk about a guy who's done pretty much all except, be the heavyweight champion of WWE. He's made a career out of wrestling, one of the most well-respected ones. You never hear a bad word about him, one of the best workers who can get in there and go with anybody. So all the guys he's had in his career and that he's feuded with guys like Rob Van Dam. Rob wasn't even on his last show. And, the most famous matches were Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. So to have Jerry call me and say, look, I won't do my show, he told me. So just to hear that from a guy like that, it was, one of the most memorable things I'll probably ever do in my career.
Yeah, class act. And actually on that show, one of the scariest moments on that show involved you, and I don't know, where would you rate that as far as scary moments in your professional wrestling career? Because you damn near could have broken your neck.
I don't know because it happened. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that happened. It wasn't like I was scared. I didn't have time to react. It happened. I hit the ground and, just kept going. I was okay. I was hurt. Don't get me wrong. I was hurt as hell. It hurt like hell. But, I thought my brains were all over the floor at first.
Yeah.
So, because I landed head first on the floor from 10 feet up. So it was one of, I'm thinking, I broke my thumb.
Right.
So I did break my thumb. But it's one of those things like, you kind of, the adrenaline's pumping. You don't know where you're at. My arms landing, with my hand on the railing and hit my head. My head's like hot as hell. So I thought it was busted open, and in the way I smacked, I thought for sure I busted open. I didn't know if something was like, if a piece of the rod broke off in me or, from the rail. I didn't know. So
it was scary. And for those of you who haven't seen the Jerry Lynn DVD, you can buy it online. But another competitor in the match pulled the ropes down, and Luke went over the ropes backwards, hit his head on the railing. Just a scary moment. It was the first match of the night. So it was, one of those
Definitely.
Scary moments, but
worst bump I ever took, and it's bad when Sabu comes up to you right away. Sabu was the first person in the locker room. He came right up to me, and he's like, all right. He's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Man, I was really worried about, it's bad when Sabu comes over to you, check on you. It makes you worried about you.
Yeah, totally. One of the craziest moments, and I rewatch it, and it's tough to watch just because you can see the actual concern on the other wrestler's face too. Is like, well, holy shit, is Luke dead? And in the back too, when I was in the back locker room, I was kind of thinking the same thing because I was watching from the side, and it's like that wasn't supposed to happen. But obviously, you're here, you're good, you're still kicking ass. on a regular basis. Where are you at next, Luke? So if any of our listeners are listening and they want to follow you on the indie scene, where can they find you in the next couple of weeks?
I'm working on a couple now, but as far as indie wrestling goes, I got what I have today is I got something next weekend, but I can't remember where. I think it's something locally here, a couple hours away. But my next big show is WrestleCade in North Carolina on November 29th. Got a big 6-man tag there. And then
that's a packed card too. So for those of you looking, WrestleCade's a packed card, and Luke's gonna be a part of that, and it's gonna be a great show. That's for sure.
Super packed card. That's another who's who. Similar to the NWA Mid-Atlantic Fan Fest that I did a couple months ago out there in North Carolina. Another massive card, another massive event. So it's cool to be like that, and to get to interact with some of the older folk and some of the guys you've seen growing up and interacting with them and possibly even wrestling some of them. So I'm happy to be a part of that card. And December's a pretty busy month too. I got some wrestling going on, work going on, and working on some other things coming up. Hopefully all goes well, and I have some big.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who want to keep up to date with Luke, you can follow him on Twitter. He's at Luke Hawx 504. There's an X in that for Luke Hawx. Luke, man, it's been good to catch up with you. I know you're a busy man. We can do this sometime down the road again because there's a bunch we can still get to. But I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule and joining me here. And I wish you nothing but the best, man, both in Wildkat and your professional career. And hopefully your son's the world heavyweight champion soon, and you can be, obviously look at him and say he did it. He did more than daddy. So it'd be perfect little a way to end things for everybody in professional wrestling for you. If that's how your last professional wrestling moment is your son holding the world heavyweight championship title, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know about last. I got some gas in my tank still, so
absolutely.
I think I'll still be kicking it by the time he gets that. So
nice.
Maybe I'll do some tagging with him or something.
Perfect.
Who knows?
Awesome,
yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. Definitely, y'all check out Wildkat Sports on YouTube. Check out our web series on YouTube. So you can't go wrong with that. It's free wrestling.
Just a good chat this week with Luke Hawx, King of the Underground or King of the Indies, one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet on the independent scene, one of the best professional wrestlers anywhere. It was fantastic to have him on the show, and it was something that I've been trying to get him on for quite some time because he is a controversial name in professional wrestling. He's not afraid to tell you how it is and who he has a problem with, obviously, from our discussion with Just Incredible to AJ Styles to even real-life heat with Matt Hardy, but it's worked to his advantage, and he's now extremely popular, extremely in high demand. And again, please do yourself a favor and follow him on Twitter. It's at Luke Hawx 504. Check out Wildkat Sports on YouTube. It's free wrestling. They also have a website. They just celebrated their 3-year anniversary. I want to give you a heads up. Next week's guest is Carmine Despierto. Used to run Mid-American Pro Wrestling in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Basically, some of the biggest names in professional wrestling went through there and worked there. And I'm talking about Ken Anderson or Kamikaze Ken Anderson or Ken Kennedy in the WWE. A guy by the name of Colt Cabana, you may have heard of him. Another guy by the name of Austin Aries tearing up Total Nonstop Action Impact Wrestling. And the biggest name of the four who went through there, obviously, is none other than CM Punk. And actually, yours truly had a chance to wrestle for Carmine in Mid-American Wrestling when I first broke into the business as one half of the most famous tag team, the Untouchables. Looking forward to visiting with Carmine next week to talk about professional wrestling, dating all the way back to the days of being in photography, to running his own promotion, and to what he is up to nowadays. A bright mind in professional wrestling. Looking forward to that. As always, please do us a favor. This is a fan-supported podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Pencil Podcast or visit us online at www.pencilpodcast.com. We're also available on Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and PodBean. Until next week, this is the one and only, often imitated but never duplicated, Renny D. And thank you for Dirt for calling in earlier to talk Monday Night Raw and professional wrestling. Next week, Carmine joins us. It'll be our 15th episode. Make sure, again, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Hang loose, everybody. You've been listening to The Pencil, the professional wrestling podcast online. Follow us on Twitter at Pencil Podcast or check us out online at pencilpodcast.com. You can listen to our show every Tuesday on iTunes, PodBean, Stitcher, and YouTube. Our show features guests from the WWE, TNA, the independent wrestling scene, and legends of wrestling past. Check it out today.